Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Youth, a program which seeks to address issues and concerns that plague young people on a daily basis. Now, this afternoon, I'm joined with Louise Brown, who's going to assist me in executing this program. Now, of course, we should be familiar with the different aspect of the program so far. Now, if you're not familiar, I'm just going to go right ahead and to remind you that we have three aspects to the program. Of course, our discussion, where we'll be asking questions to our panelists, and then we'll have questions from our audience, you, our viewers, and then the final aspect is to put the icing on the cake, where we'll have a summary of all that we will be talking about. Good afternoon, Miss Brown, and welcome to Let's Talk Youth.
Hi, Bethany. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for me to be joining you and, of course, your viewers this evening. We have a lovely program, a very interesting program lined up. We are looking at youth and entrepreneurship, and we also have two young entrepreneurs who will be sharing with us this evening. It is Yadin Brown. And Yadin will just tell us a little bit about his business to start off the program this evening. Yadin, are you hearing us? Welcome. All right.
I'm seeing him, but I'm not hearing him.
I'm not hearing him at all. All right, Yadin. While Yadin is getting ready,
Oh, he's not hearing.
all right. So let's see if we saw you, Yadin, and you can hear us. We'll work on that in the meantime. But just reminding you, our viewers, that you can post your questions as we go throughout the program this evening. If you have questions that you want the panelists to answer, you can just type it in the chat and those will be answered throughout the program. All right. Are you hearing us now, Yadin? Okay, still not getting Yadin there. Natalie, we're talking about youth and entrepreneurship. Tell us, who do you think the youth are? When you hear the word youth, what comes to mind?
Well, Louise, according to the United Nations, a youth is considered an individual between the age of 15 to 24. However, when we go into the Adventist setting, we normally say a youth, you are as young as you feel. So if you're 34, 54, and you feel like you're a youth, then consider yourself to be a youth.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is why I still keep young and fresh because I am a youth forever. So,
Forever.
but so youth, that is youth, and then we look at now entrepreneurship. So this is young people
Hmm.
um, getting involved in entrepreneurial endeavors. Let's see if Yadin is ready to talk with us. Yadin, welcome. All right.
I
So
think he's still not
Yadin
hearing
seems,
us.
yes. Let's talk about entrepreneurship then, Petty.
All right, when we look at entrepreneurship, it's basically setting up a business or businesses taking financial risk in the hope that you're going to get a profit.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the
And what you
individuals.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
please.
Okay, I was now going in to look at the entrepreneur, the individual. Is the person who is setting up that business, is the person who is going to be taking that financial risk. and he's the person who's now going to, hope and pray that the financial risk that he or she is going to take is going to turn out profitably.
Right, because as you know, most persons tend to go into business to make of a need, even though that is one of the benefits. But most times it's the
Mhm.
financial reward.
Yes, of
Yes,
course.
that is the motivation for starting businesses.
Yes.
I see Yadin looking ready to talk with us. Let me check again to see if he's ready. Yadin? All right. So let's keep the conversation. When we look at what is happening in our world today and how the pandemic is causing people to lose jobs, then many.
All
All
right.
right. So let's
Keep the
we can
conversation.
see where many.
You know,
We're having a feedback there. Okay. So we can see where many opportunities exist now to be starting, because usually I heard a quotation, this provides opportunities for promotion. So there are indeed, are really looking for ways to meet needs, because this crisis has created a lot of needs, problems, and the entrepreneurial mind will now begin to look for opportunities, some of those needs. We are still
of
not.
course, Louise, and if it is
Go
one
ahead.
thing we do know is that as Jamaicans, we are very, very creative and we can turn our hands to make fashion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And um, that is something that we are indeed famous for. And not just the youth, even though we're focusing on the youth, are looking for opportunities to help themselves, you know, just to make money to help offset their needs, their financial needs. So let's talk about, while we're looking at entrepreneurship, do you believe, Petali, that all of us have the capacity to become business owners? Or do you think it's a special kind that will operate businesses to manage others? What are your thoughts?
Louise, to be honest with you, that's a very, very, very interesting question. When we look at what is happening now, we see that in Jamaica, there are many persons who are operating businesses, right? But they
Yes.
are not operating it from a base principle, right? So, do
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we all have the capacity to run a business? I would say yes, but there are different levels to it. Because when we look at the lady out there on the street selling the bag juice and the juice and so forth, that person is an entrepreneur, but he
Better
or
believe
she is
it.
not operating it from the book base. But when we look at the, let us say, for example, Digicel and Flow and those big company, they are entrepreneurs, but and they're operating from the book base. But do we have the capacity to be entrepreneurs? Yes, we do, but there are different levels to it.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. Because when God made man, one of the first things he did was to give dominion to
Mhm.
man. Man was to rule, not just rule over himself, but rule over everything that God created. So, are humans, once you come with a business idea, you think about it, you explore it, you do your research, then of course, with God's help, you will definitely have the capability to manage that business, especially if you're doing it to give glory and honor to God. So
I am
that is
seeing.
that is what we
Are
believe.
you seeing who I'm seeing? I think I'm seeing Trishana joining us now.
Yes, that looked like Trishana Allen, of course. welcome to Shoshana. But we're not hearing Shoshana.
Shoshana, we are seeing your lips moving, but we are not hearing you.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it was muted. I was saying my apologies. There were some challenges, hence my being late. So accept my apologies and thank you for the welcome.
Not a problem. We're happy to have you. Are you with us now? Can you hear us clearly a little better? All right, Trishana, Petali, and I were just talking about youth and entrepreneurship. That's the topic we're discussing this evening. And we are happy to have you join with us. You are an entrepreneur, one of the newest ones, I believe, around town. And so we just want you to share a little bit with our listening, a little bit about your entrepreneurial endeavors. What is it that you do, and how can those listening support your business? Are you hearing me, Trishana? Petali, our newest guest has arrived.
I am indeed seeing Danielle. Good afternoon, Danielle, and welcome to Let's Talk Youth. Can you hear us? Please say if you can hear us. You can?
Yes, yes, I can hear. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good. Shoshana, are you able? We lost Shoshana right there. Now, Danielle, Miss Louise and I, we were just talking about entrepreneurship, the youth and entrepreneur. As you know, that is our topic for this afternoon. Now, I will just give you a few seconds to introduce your business to us and tell us about what is it that you do.
Okay, so good afternoon again, everyone. I am Daniel Freckleton, the owner for Robbins Naturally. So what we do is basically we cater to those persons who are interested in growing their hair, or who persons who are interested in maintaining a healthy hair, not just through whatever chemicals or added chemicals, but through nature. And as a result of that, we go by the slogan, a touch of nature on every strand. So we sell castor oil and coconut oil that helps to benefit hair growth, and will definitely promote such. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that for that wealth of information, because I didn't know that. Just to ask, if it is that we, need to make contact with you, how can we do so?
Okay, so currently I'm on Instagram at Robbins_naturally, and I go by the number 2945307. So I'm not in any store or pharmacies as yet. I'm only on Instagram and through that number.
Okay, thank you so much, Danielle. Now, I'm still seeing Mr. Brown, but we're not hearing him. But what I do know is that he's the owner of Soap Prime Cleaning Products. And I'm sure that little later down into the program, he will tell us some more about Soap Prime and cleaning products. Louise, are you still with us? Can you hear me?
Yes, I am hearing you loud and clear. Loud and clear. So welcome, Danielle. It's good to have you. Yadin, are you ready to talk with us? All right, we wanted to get an introduction, a brief introduction from Yadin, but we're still not hearing Yadin. We can see him very clearly, but we're not hearing him. So Daniel, tell us, an entrepreneur.
All right, I'm going to make an attempt to introduce myself. I
Welcome,
hope that you can
Yadin.
hear me clearly.
Loud and
I'm
clear.
Yadin, and I am co-owner in the Soap Prime Cleaning Chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
We're mainly a service business, which is a business where we deliver these cleaning products. So it's really a merger of a product and service business. We recently secured a little storehouse, which will soon open into a physical store. But primarily, we're focusing on delivery. So the products we deliver are products to clean your house, to keep your body clean, and to keep your clothes clean and your cars clean. So that's the general idea of what we do.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Yadin. And we see Trishana Allen, who has joined us again. Trishana, we're just at the introductory stage, just asking the entrepreneurs, business owners to give us a little overview of the business. What is your business and how can we support you? You hearing me, Trishana? All right. Until Trishana's connection is sorted out, let's ask Danielle to just tell us how long she's been an entrepreneur and what actually prompted her to become an entrepreneur. Not hearing you, Danielle. Check your mic.
Okay, so I have been an entrepreneur since December of last year, December 21st. And the reason why I chose December 21st was because it was my grandma's birthday and I lost her on
Mm,
August of last year. So it was basically doing something in memory of her, as well as I've always had problems with my hair, so I always try to use stuff in it that doesn't really work. So upon trying nature, upon trying stuff that are natural, I realized that my edges started to grow back, my ends were no longer split. Yes, so these were some things that I said, if it could have worked for me, I'm going to try to see how best I can put it out there to see if others with the same problem that I had struggled with might benefit from the product. So those were two main reasons why I did that.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing, Danielle. What jumped out at me in you sharing is that your personal reason for going into that venture. So, Ro- Mr. Brown, are you able to hear us? Are you hearing me? I'll just ask you the same question. How long have you been an entrepreneur, and what prompted you to become an entrepreneur? It seems as if we lost Daniel again.
Well, to be honest, I have to be watching YouTube live to hear you, and YouTube is delayed. Right? I'm not using your platform that we're using. But,
Mm-hmm.
following the conversation though, for soap prime cleaning chemicals,
Mm-hmm.
uh, we started in August of last year, and the reason for that is that it was prompted primarily because of the COVID-19. People needed cleaning products very regularly, and there was a high demand basically for cleaning products, and so we took the opportunity, and it worked out pretty well. Um, so that's in a sense that's how it began. But I've been in the field of business for a while, doing here a little, there a little, and now looking back, I guess we can look at it as the big getting experience for so prime.
Okay, thank you much. Thank you so much for sharing. Shoshana, are you hearing us? Yes. I'm seeing your lips move.
Sorry. I'm hearing you clearly now.
Okay, so at this time, we're just going to, take a step back and give Trishana the opportunity to introduce her business to us. And then whilst you're introducing your business to us, you can just go ahead and tell us, how long you have been into that business and what prompted you to become an entrepreneur.
Okay, so let me start with what prompted me to become an entrepreneur. So I've always considered
Sure.
myself as someone who wouldn't do well working for somebody for too long. So it has always been my desire to own my business. After I got baptized, I wrestled with the Lord while in university, telling him that, I need my business before I leave NCU. So that's in my third year, I believe, I I had an accident, I call it, in my kitchen. And what came out, that baked product, it was validated by a friend of mine, a Haitian. And he loved it to the point where he said, if you make them, I will buy them. So as time progressed, however, I didn't have a name for it, and I just put it on the back burner for a while until I had an encounter with low blood count, and then it came back to me, and I prayed again, and the Lord said NutriBeat. So NutriBeat I began about 2018. Yes, I make all natural granola bars, and I have been making some steps to get it on the market. So presently, persons can order and they receive same. We are working on our website as well. We want individuals to be able to just go on our online, on our e-commerce, and just make their purchase. So persons have been enjoying them thus far, and that's where we are presently with NutriBeat.
Thank you so much for sharing, Trishana. Louise, are you still with us? What can you say? I know you can attest to Trishana's NutriBeat.
Oh, absolutely. Shoshana knows I'm a fan. Shoshana knows I am a fan of NutriBeat. Um, what I see coming out from these three entrepreneurs arose. And because of the problem, they have now come up with a business idea to solve this
Definitely.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that, as we can see, is really what entrepreneurship or business ownership is about. So, thank you, young people. I am so happy that you have followed the Lord's leading and have responded also to a need in the market. So, our next question then is, what are some of the benefits then of becoming an entrepreneur, alluding to some, but or at least one. But for the others, what are some of the benefits of becoming an entrepreneur, especially as a Seventh-day Adventist?
Well, I will take that question as it relates to the benefits of being an entrepreneur for me is that, well, I'm still a student at NTU, but it gives me some sense of freedom. So I don't have to ask mommy for everything, or I don't have to go to a family member or a friend to ask for the necessities. I am able to supply such for myself. So that is one of the main benefits, and also it helps you to meet people, to interact with others, and to understand that persons are there, persons have needs, and they too want their needs to be met. Some of them, they also, it also helps you to be an inspiration to others, because sometimes when persons see you, or when they see me, they might say, okay, you are a university student, but you took the opportunity and you are doing this. So it motivates them, and then that motivates you as an individual to continue. So those are some of the benefits for me where entrepreneurship is concerned, meeting the needs of others while meeting your own needs.
All right. Thank you, Danielle. Shoshana or Yadin?
Okay, so for me, there are a number of benefits that I have been realizing. For one, having to facilitate an entrepreneurship class on the heart at NCU gives me the opportunity as a Christian entrepreneur to bring in practical biblical principles to before my students, and to encourage them to understand that there are so many principles laid down in the Bible in regards to operating a business that is so fascinating. And I pull from Proverbs and Ecclesiastics. There are some interesting principles there. It tells us not to rob the poor. And I always encourage my students, if you're going into business, if you're considering it, do not go in there with the mindset of wanting to make money. I tell them, if you offer quality, persons will just give you access to their pockets. So it is important to understand who we are as Christians. And also, I am able to encourage individuals whenever I go out there on the street. When the Lord prompts me to say something, or to seek to advertise my business, I look
Oh,
at the expressions of
hold it there,
persons and I am
Trisha. I
able
think you're
to.
going into one of our questions, man. You jumping the gun.
My apologies, my apologies.
Oh my God.
Thank
But
you,
but
Trishana. Thank you so much. But you're absolutely right, though. Business money should not be the motivating factor for going into business at all. All right, Yadin.
Oh, sorry about that. For me, I see where being an entrepreneur outdoors would have remained closed as an employee, but it also brings with it a different level of stress. But the thing is, what I realized is that stress is welcome. Me wanting this stress, and for example, one of the best benefits is that with business, there's really no limit to your income because as much as you're able to put in the work, your income can continuously increase. Whereas as an employee, you have a set income, and sometimes a pay cut, or you have to you'll be fired or laid off, especially in these times. One of my role models from the Bible was actually Abraham. And one of the main principles that Abraham had was honesty. No matter no matter to him if he had lost in a transaction, as long as in that transaction, and because of honesty, God increases whatever we receive. And one more benefit as an Adventist is that Uh, when you work for organizations or companies in the world, sometimes it is hard to get a day off on your day of worship. As a business owner, you can close anytime you wish on a Friday, and you can close on a Sabbath, and you can attend church freely. So these are some of the benefits that I have seen so far in
Thank you so much.
a business
I
owner and
am.
an analyst.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. You touched on a point where I was wondering if anybody was going to touch on it, the opportunity of not working on the Sabbath, but thank you so much for sharing. I realized though what is coming out from all three persons is that they're taking their business from a biblical perspective. And we know that once we put Christ at the forefront, then nothing on earth can stop you from progressing and from excelling. So that is awesome. That is awesome. Now, the next question to our panelists: how can you decide on what goods or services to offer as a business owner? Who will take the first shot at the
Okay,
question?
so let me take the first shot. So there are a number of ways that you can go about knowing what to offer. One, feasibility study. It is important to do your research. It is important to analyze your market and your industry. By doing this, as well as scanning your environment, you're able to access information from your customers and potential customers. And these are the individuals that will help you to make that decision that you need to make. And so it is very important to hear their voice and to, to, to compare it with the ideas that you have. Because if you're offering something and you think it is of quality, and in their minds they don't want it, it makes no sense you put it out there to some extent. But there's another spin where many of us don't know what is good for us or what we need, so we have to know how to position our product or services so that even if the customer don't see it as quality, by the time you position it, having it in their mind as something worth purchasing, then you are definitely going to be able to put that product or service on the market. So not just that, but it's important to listen to God. That's what I
Yeah.
did. And I'm sure that's
Mhm.
what the others did. So those are ways that you can ensure that you know when to put a particular product or service on the market by doing your research, scanning the environment and knowing the trends that are presently going on in the market or industry that you're operating.
Definitely, Trishana. And what says you, Mr. Brown? How can we know?
Okay. Well, for my type of product, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
COVID presented a problem. Problem was that persons needed to keep themselves COVID free. Problem was that persons had a challenge getting these things easily. So we made sure that we got the best quality sanitizers and so forth, and we brought it directly to their doorstep. So there are some persons who they basically had it as a practice to buy chemicals from the chemical store, right? So it's not something that we invented. It's just that we basically became more brisk or rigid in terms of getting good quality, bringing it directly to their doorstep. So in that process, we gained customers who had no idea that persons could sell products that way, and at the same time, um, well, let me address for persons who wish to start um, offering services or products as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one of the best ways to decide. First, you have to recognize that there's some level of joy in you when you
Yeah.
see a certain product or service, right? If you experience a certain level of joy when, for example, you see I don't know, tissue, you see a certain type of tissue, or charming tissue, for example, then you know that maybe you could do as good a job or even better, a better job. Or, like I was listening to one business person, he said that there's nothing else done. So the easiest thing to do is copy what somebody else does and make it better. And one
Mhm.
of the main aims as well. It's not really to make money, but
Mm-hmm.
it is to fulfill your purpose. So your purpose is somewhat fulfilled when you receive joy in serving somebody else. Putting that smile on their faces. And
Thank,
so you capitalize on that and you try
yes.
to make as many people happy as possible.
Okay, awesome. I realized that whilst you were speaking, Danielle was nodding her head. So I want to take it that she has something to say and she is in agreement with what you have said. Danielle?
Yes, so definitely I do agree with both parties where it is true that you have to do your research in regards to wanting to become an entrepreneur, as well as you want to sometimes the product is in demand but the supply is low, but as well as sometimes the product is the supply is high and the demand is low. So that's the reason why you have to ensure that you do your research and ensure that yes, you contact God, because sometimes when I first started, I had a friend who asked, "What business do you think I'm supposed to go into?" I was like, "Girl, I cannot tell you what business you're supposed to go into because my business is not your business and your business is not my business. So you have to pray about it and find out something that you want to do." So sometimes we're there and we're wondering, and sometimes too, as the first lady said, um you have to consult God because sometimes he has plans for us but we don't listen, and sometimes we go ahead and we do stuff that he has not ordained for us, or we walk in somebody else's purpose. So we have to ensure that we consult God, we do our best, we do our research, as well as we just go out and make it happen.
Thank you so much, Danielle. You didn't mention about being in
All right.
purpose once you're
Some of the
fulfilling your
challenges
purpose.
that we face. All right. Well, some of the challenges that we face basically is okay.
Right. Yadin was mentioning that once you're fulfilling your purpose, then you get satisfaction from that. So it's not really. I like that. And mention was also made that when you're going into business, once the Lord has sent you into business, then you don't have to worry because he will take care of you. But I'm still going to ask, what are some of the challenges or what are the main challenges that you face as an entrepreneur, if any? And we'll start with Yadin. All right, while Yadin,
All right. Thank you. So some of the challenges that we face basically is in regards to the amount, sometimes the amount of chemicals that we can carry in a particular trip, um, because we deliver via car at the moment, right? Um, a bit of it may be in terms of a limited capital, and I think further on I'll show a positive side to that. Um, but for the most part, since we started, we have been doing well. As I said, we have been able to secure a spot where we can open a physical store. So it has been going pretty well so far. For every challenge, we realize that when we try to overcome that challenge, it actually opens up bigger doors. So challenges, I think I welcome challenges as an entrepreneur because it opens my mind to various routes to take and their options.
All right, thank you so much. Trishana, do you agree with Yadin?
Oh yes, I believe that challenges slash failures are stepping stones. We drive that into students. So they should always seek to welcome those, and not just the challenges, but the competition. Don't fear competition. So what are some of my challenges? Well, in the first phase, of course, student entrepreneur, challenges with school. Otherwise, from that, we had some financial issues, but I didn't see them as challenges because in going forward, I always go to the Lord with whatever the issue is and for His direction. So I was able to benefit from various government entities and from the church as well. So, and that is another beauty about being a Christian entrepreneur. You're able to get help and assistance from the church. So I was able to pool funds from the government and from church in order to be in the process now where the granola bars are being standardized. So having our heads on our bodies with the help of the Lord, we're able to maneuver through these challenges, but face them prayerfully. That's what I believe.
All right, thank you, Trishana, very much. Danielle?
Okay,
Any
so for
challenges?
myself, yes, for myself, and just now I really appreciate that which the two parties said, because it gave me motivation for somebody who's basically just starting, helping me to realize that, because my main challenge now is marketing. So being able, because sometimes when you go out and say presenting the castor oil to persons, they're like, they don't want to buy it because of bad experiences that they have had in the past, where persons put salt or other preservatives in the oils. So as a result, that's basically one of my main challenge, and that is a challenge now. But as Sister Trishana said earlier, praying and then today I was saying to my aunt that things don't happen over time. So all I have to do is just continue to pray, continue to stay the course, and just continue to trust God, so that even this marketing challenge that I'm having now will indeed be eradicated, so that I can be able to move forward.
All right. Now, if it's one thing we do know is that in everything that we are doing, we do experience challenges. But what is important is that, and throughout our discussion, we have realized that, we base our business on Christ. And as I said before, is that we do know that in everything that we do, we experience challenges. But the fundamental of it is that you base your business on Christ. And once you have Christ with you, of course, you can overcome those challenges. Mr. Brown, you want to say something here? Those challenges.
All right. So here's one of the things that I can recall when we just went out into the streets. A lot of persons were telling us they don't trust buying chemicals from people who from people who deliver. And the reason for that is that they were saying that the other men who come through the community, they water down the product. They literally add water to the products that they buy. And so persons were fearful of buying. But after just one try, because we're Christians, we don't add any water to it. We give them directly from the factory. As we get it from the factory, we give it to them in the same quality. And just after one buy, when we go back the next time, they spread it to the entire community that our products are good. So sometimes the challenges actually help to propel you further, because now they can see for themselves that not everybody is dishonest,
Yes.
right? And so, really and truly, even in answering the question that we got in the from one of our viewers, who inspired me to be an entrepreneur, as I said earlier, maybe he missed it. Abraham. If you realize Abraham and Jacob, in
Mm-hmm.
all their transactions, they ensured that they were honest. And
Mm-hmm.
because of their honesty, God blessed them tremendously.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. Now, what we realize from what you said is that you have to go out there and make your mark. So it's an encouragement to Daniel that whilst you are facing your challenges, of course you're going to have persons who are going to scrutinize your business and to question you. But as Mr. Brown said, you have to go out there and show them that you are different, right? So, and the question that is posed in the chat, I'm going to read it so that or other panelists can go ahead and answer the question. So our question comes to us from Nicholas Howard, and he's asking us, what or who inspired you to be an entrepreneur?
Okay,
Okay,
so for me, state, as I stated earlier, it was always my desire to operate my own business. Then, having gone through university, there are a number of things that I learned. And having taken on the armor of modeling the health message, I realized that there are so many persons around us who don't even begin to understand the benefits of eating that which we grow, which is healthful, which are helpful for the body. And if you analyze my business, the name is NutriBeat. So we're speaking about nutrition and we're talking about beetroot. And the reason I said NutriBeat, or I believe the Lord led me to that, is beetroot, sorry, is a power-packed vegetable. And who would have thought that you could put a vegetable in a bar? It's just crazy. But to taste, many persons say they don't like beetroot, and when they taste up that bar, they confess that they felt energetic afterwards. So it is the Lord, along with what I would have learned through university, that would have cemented my desire or inspired me even more to own my own business.
We can see the passion coming out in Trishana. Daniel, what do you have to say? Who inspired you?
yes. So basically, what inspired me is, as I said before, when my grandma passed, I wondered what to do and where to go. And then I remember one day I was sitting in the house, and my hair was becoming not so good. And then the I was there, and the spirit basically said to me, what are you going to do about your hair? And I was there, and I have several friends who normally say to me, you need to get your hair together. And but I just never really cared about my hair, because I was like, the hair is just there. But then you get to understand that the hair is a woman's beauty. So then I took the opportunity, and I took the advantage, and I was there one day, and I was mixing some herbs, some aloe vera and turmeric and stuff like that to put in my hair. And then a voice said, but you can do this for your business. And I'm like, no, I don't know anybody, nobody knows me, and stuff like that. And then I remember one day I was in the kitchen again, and the voice said, if you don't take the opportunity, I'm going to give it to somebody else. And then that was when I said, okay, I might not be able to make the deep conditioners yet, but I can do the oils, which is more natural. You don't have to add stuff to it. So what I did, I went ahead and I learned how to make the castor oil, and the whole my grandma already taught me how to make the coconut oil. So yes, that's where all of that came from. So it was basically from God and
Yeah.
my grandmother who passed that I decided to do such.
Okay, thank you so much. What we realize is that their inspiration can come from just about any and anything. You just have to pay attention to your environment, pay attention to your surrounding, and you too, you out there viewers, you can get inspired to start your own business. Louise, what's our next question as we wrap up?
Right. So the next question is, how can you, as a Christian entrepreneur, witness to individuals you come across? How can you witness to the persons that you come across as an entrepreneur, as you operate your business on a daily basis?
Okay, so I will go ahead and answer that question. What I do is I basically try to ensure that whatever packages I send out, or if I go on the road and persons are purchasing something from me, what I do is I ensure that I print Bible verses. So they are printed on little pieces of paper and I put them in the package. Or if somebody buys from me, I said, okay, because you bought something today, you have gotten yourself a scripture reading, some motivational ones that will help individuals along this pandemic, because sometimes it does get crazy. And with all that is happening now, it is even evident that the coming of the God is near. So I try to ensure that I not only present a product, but I present a word so that God can be glorified through what I do.
Okay, Yadin
Thank you,
seems
Danielle.
to.
Trishana, your time.
I think Yadin is being the protector, wanting the women to go first.
I'll cue
Okay,
you, David.
so for me, I believe in modeling what I would have come to understand as a Christian. So Yadin spoke about honesty, and I seek to do that. Consistency, being patient as well with your customers and when things are not going well. So those are some of the things I do. But for the most part, NutriBeat seeks to put out their health related articles. So if you should go on NutriBeat Facebook page or follow us on Instagram, you'll see them there. So it is right there in front of my audience. And also it is the intent NutriBeat. We're working on it to do a blog that will focus on the holistic affair of man. So it is something that I believe in wholeheartedly, modeling what I believe as a.
All right, so it's not just about providing nutrition for the body, but now the blog will help to provide nutrition for the mind. That's what you're saying, Trishana. That's how I understand it. Awesome.
Exactly.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. There is a question in the chat. Do you need a license or some form of documentation to operate as an entrepreneur? And since you're already in business, I will let just one of you need to answer that question for Nicholas Harwood. Do you need a license or some form of documentation to operate as an entrepreneur?
Yes, you do. You do. And it is something that is encouraged when you're just starting, because if you get your business registered, which you should, you are able to benefit. You gain financial benefits. You can get grants from various government entities. And also it gives you a competitive advantage in that persons trust what you're doing more. So it's not just what we call it an underside. I don't remember what we call the persons on the street, which we don't categorize as entrepreneur, but persons now trust what you're doing. So yes, you're supposed to get your documentation up, and it just slipped me what I was going to say. But yes, you should get your documents. It is very important. Okay, I remember what I was going to say. For persons that has to deal with labeling, their products, it is going to there's going to be a fine on that if you don't. So it is something that should be considered, and here is where the research is necessary to know what needs to be done when you're going into business, or the type of business you're going into.
Thank you so much, Trishana. Yadin, I'm going to give you a chance to answer the question about how you witness to others with your business.
All
Thank you
right.
so much,
For me,
Trishana.
witnessing is it comes naturally because my business partner Darren is also well, I should say that I am an evangelist, and my business partner also is an evangelist. So while we're on the road, we call each other preacher. And as a matter of fact, he was the one that came up with the idea, and he asked me to join in. And I was a bit hesitant at first, to be honest, because I did not see selling chemicals as something interesting. But just one day when I went out, one day was enough to convince me that it was a very rewarding business, particularly because we're making the customers happy, and in turn we are happy. Now, when we call each other preacher, immediately persons will say, "You're a preacher? Come pray for me, man. Pray for me." And also because we do delivery, we are at their houses, we have their contacts, and we actually went to the point where we had a street meeting, a street prayer meeting one evening, and persons requested the other street meetings since, but because of the COVID guidelines, we weren't able to do that as we wanted to. But we still maintain contact. We still encourage everyone that we see, and we've actually been in Bible studies with some persons so far. And so, there was even a point where I thought maybe this is what I should do, just combine evangelism with business, because it's more natural than being formal in a jacket and tie as a minister of the gospel. It's 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 more efficient, it's more effective, because sometimes I've done what do you call it, Bible work or witnessing for the church, and sometimes when they see you coming in your well pressed church attire, they run inside and they lock the doors and they lock the windows. But when you are dressed as a regular person, and being a chemical person, you look down to earth, and nobody runs from you. They're actually running to you to see what you have in the car, and it's very easy, it's very rewarding, and I love it, and I don't think I'm going to quit ever doing this type of business. And so I'm just listening to God's voice to see where He'll take us, as it relates to the next level.
Definitely.
You have in the car.
Um,
And
sometimes when we realize that we do have to go down to the individual levels so that we can identify with them and bring across the message, because what we're realizing, what Mr. Brown said, is that sometimes you go there according to him well pressed, right, in your jacket and tie, and you scare the people away. But when you go down to their level, of course they're able to listen to you and to receive the message that you bring for them. Now, the final question to our panelists is, what would you say to someone who wants to start a business, but that person, doubts, fear? What would you say to that individual?
Okay, so I will answer that question first. My advice is just do it, trust God, pray, and just allow God to do that which you cannot do, because sometimes he uses these things to test our faith and to bring us higher in him, as well as to help us to walk into our purpose. So my advice is to just do it. It will not cost you a thing, but then just think about this one thing. It is better
Mm-hmm.
to live and live in your purpose and feel as though you're living than to live and is actually dead. Because when you're not living your purpose,
Yeah.
that's when you don't feel as though, that's when you actually feel as though you're dead. So just get up, put your head to the game, and
Yeah.
do that which it
Just do
takes.
it. Just do it. Thank you, Daniel. Trishana, what would you say?
Shoshana isn't hearing.
I wasn't hearing Miss correctly.
Okay, you're hearing me now, though,
Okay,
right?
so my encouragement is understand why you want to become an entrepreneur. Secondly, do a self assessment. Very important. And when you God's help that this is what He wants you to do, let anyone tell you that you cannot. If God through it, and be confident about it and goal oriented, be creative and innovative, and go for goal.
Go for it. Do it. And Mr. Brown, what do you have to say?
All right, here's my encouragement for those who wish to start a business. Um, First of all, business is business. It doesn't matter what you do. As long as you're earning your honest living, if it's even cleaning a toilet, it's business. Nobody will look down on you. So that's the first thing. Number two is don't wait until you have all the money to start your business because you'll never have all that money. Something will come up. It's either bills or health or food or something will come up. So start small and then build. Number three, um, you have to accept where you are, right? If
Yeah.
you're poor, accept that you're poor. You'll never get rich. If that's your aim, you'll never get rich until you accept that you're poor. If
Mm-hmm.
you recognize that there is a product out there that is unsatisfactory,
Mm-hmm.
accept the fact that it is unsatisfactory, and then you'll be able to do something better. And then finally,
Yeah.
uh, you have to be uncomfortable with
Mm-hmm.
where you are. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be uncomfortable. That is probably the biggest drive to make you want to be successful as an entrepreneur. Because being an entrepreneur takes very hard work. It will consume all your time. And you have then and then number five, I think I'm at number five.
I
Number
hope we
five
do
is
not
that you
have number
have to be very patient. You can't expect to get from 0 to 100 in a
Mm-hmm.
week, a month, a year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it may take you 3 years or even 5 years. As a matter of fact, I think that's the threshold. Within 5 years, your business should be able to stand on its own. And so it is really after the 5 years that you
Yes.
are able to say that, yes, you have built something. And
Yes.
now, it means something, not just to yourself, but to others.
To
So
others.
that's
Of
my
course.
advice to those who want to venture out into the world of
Yes.
business.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure you, all three persons, you have shared more than a mouthful, and you have inspired not one, not two, but I want to say a few persons to go out there and take the chance, take the risk. And at this time, as we look to, take the curtains down, we'll now go to Louise, who will now, put the icing on the cake. Louise?
Thank you, Pezali, and thank you so much, panelists. From just summing up what you would have said and what I would have learned about entrepreneurship, is that first you must be passionate about whatever it is that you're going in to do as business. because you want to engage in a business endeavor. And when Shoshana talks, you can see that enlightenment on her face. She just gets excited talking about her business. And that's exactly how it should be. But as business owners, it is important to remember, or persons who want to become business owners, that your purpose, your life's purpose, should be wrapped up and tied up in whatever business endeavor you um, you seek. Because as children of God, there should be no distinction between our life's work and our business. It should be one and the same. So every day as you operate your business, you're using the opportunity to glorify God. You're using the opportunity to do good works. And all three of you have indicated that in your responses this evening. So for those who are interested, looking forward to doing business, just think about what is the potential that I have? How can I now develop this and make it marketable? How can I serve it to the world while at the same time glorifying our Creator? Kathleen?
All right. Thank you so much, Louise. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. Thank you so much, Trishana. And thank you to Daniel. And of course, we want to say thank you to our viewers for coming on and joining with us. Thank you for Nicholas Harwood for sharing your question. At this time, we want to thank you so much. Thanks to everyone for joining. As we close off, we want to say, have a good night, and we see you on our next episode.
Before we leave, though, let us pray. Let us do a quick word of prayer just to
Sure,
dismiss.
sure.
Let us pray. Father in heaven, we are so thankful that you have guided us throughout this program this evening. Oh, Father, that wherever two or three are gathered in your name, you are there in our midst. And we know that you were here because we were here doing your bidding. And we thank you for the messages that would have gone out. And we pray that at least one person would have benefited from what was shared. Continue to be with each of the business owners. They have expressed that these ideas were inspired by you, and we can see how they are using the business to glorify your name. Continue to give them success. Amen.
Amen. Good night and thank you.
Good night, everyone.